The sky above was dark purple. Lightning flashed silently across the clouds. James opened his eyes, face down in dirt and leaves. His head hurt. His spacesuit was damaged, helmet cracked. The last thing he remembered was falling fast and hard through the planet's thick atmosphere. His ship was gone. Burned, maybe. Pieces of it were scattered across the trees like metal bones. He stood slowly, breathing heavy. The air here was strange, not like Earth. It smelled like flowers and iron. His communicator was dead. No signal, no help. He was alone. Or so he thought. James checked his blaster. It still worked. One good thing. Started walking, trying to find shelter before night came. The trees around him were tall. But wrong there, bark moved like it was breathing. He kept going. Then he heard footsteps behind him, slow, careful someone. Or something was following. James stopped. He didn't turn, listened. Steps stopped too. He spun around, his blaster up. Nothing. Silence. Then a soft voice came from the trees. Don't shoot. A girl stepped out. She looked human almost. Her skin was pale with a blue tint. Her eyes were silver, glowing slightly. Strange symbols ran down her arms like tattoos made of light. She wore a suit made from smooth black material that shimmered when she moved. James didn't lower his weapon. Who are you? She looked at him calm. Elia, she said. If you want to live, follow me. Why? Because they're coming. Then the ground shook. Boom, boom, like giant footsteps. Trees fell in the distance. James ran after her without another word. They moved fast through the forest, Elia leading. They didn't look back. James had no idea who she was, but the fear in her voice felt real. Then he saw it, a dark opening in the side of a rocky hill, cave. It looked like a mouth, waiting. Elia ran inside. James followed. As soon as he entered, the walls behind them shifted. The cave closed. Not with falling rocks. The stone moved like it was alive. Total darkness. Then, soft blue lights lit up along the walls. Glowing veins like blood moving through the cave itself. James tried to calm his breath. What is this place? A trap, Elia said. But safer than outside for now. She sat down, breathing hard. Her leg was bleeding badly. A long gash ran down from her thigh to her ankle. Her blood was blue. James knelt next to her. You're hurt, she said. Then calmly added, cut it off. James blinked. What? My leg. Cut it off now. That's insane. There's something inside the wound. A parasite. If you don't cut my leg off, it will reach my chest. James stared at her. She didn't seem afraid, just tired. Like she had done this before? You'll die. No, she said. It'll grow back. I'm not like you. James looked at her leg again. Black veins were crawling up from the cut. He didn't want to do it. Please, she said. If it reaches my heart, I turn into them. Outside the cave, something roared, loud, inhuman. James grabbed his blade. He held her leg still. His hands shook. Are you sure?
Elia nodded.
Yes, do it fast.
A.
He brought the blade down. A. Scream filled the cave, raw and painful, but she didn't fight it. She closed her eyes, breathing through the pain. James wrapped the stump with cloth from his suit. The glowing black veins stopped spreading. Then something strange happened. The wound started glowing. Skin, muscle, and bone began growing slowly, but clearly. James stepped back, heart racing. What was she? Elia opened her eyes again. Thank you, you weren't lying. She smiled weakly. Told you, I'm not human. But I'm not your enemy either. James sat down beside her. The cave was silent now, like it was listening. Outside, whatever, had chased them, scratched at the walls, then walked away. James looked at Elia again. What is this planet? She looked toward the glowing cave walls. A test, she said. We just failed the first level. Asterisk, the knife was still in his hand. Blood blue, blood dripped from its edge. James sat against the wall of the cave, shaking. His gloves were covered in it. It didn't feel like a victory. It felt like he had just done something terrible. Elia was lying nearby, her eyes half open, breathing slow. The lower part of her leg was gone, but already something strange was happening. Tiny blue lights moved across the stump like tiny stars. Skin and bone were returning piece by piece. It was real. She was healing, but the pain had been real too. She had screamed like any human would. He kept replaying it in his head. Cut it off. That voice. Calm, but urgent. No fear. Only trust. Why did she trust me so icily? Why did I listen so quickly? James wiped the sweat from his face. The cave was warm now, like it was breathing around them. He looked at the walls. They pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Then a low hum started, not from machines, from the cave itself. He stood up quickly, blaster ready. The hum grew louder. He turned to Elia. She was awake now, her face pale but steady. It's waking up, she whispered. The cave knows we're alive. He said this place was a trap, James said. Bring us here? Because sometimes, Elia replied, a trap is safer than what's outside. Suddenly the ground shifted. The wall behind them melted open, not with heat, but with will. Like the cave chose to let them pass. A new tunnel revealed itself. Dark, curving, alive. Elia sat up, still weak. Her leg had grown halfway back. Skin was soft and blue at the edges. She looked at James. We have to move, she said. It's testing us now. James didn't like the sound of that. Testing. Us. This place, she said slowly, feeds on fear. It reads your mind. It shows you things that make you break. If you break, it keeps you. Forever. James felt cold. He hated mind games. He hated magic even more. This wasn't science. This was something else. But he helped Elia up. She leaned on him, still healing. Together, they entered the new tunnel. It closed behind them. Darkness returned, but not for long. A soft light lit the path ahead. They looked like floating fireflies. But James could tell they weren't insects. They were watching eyes. Organic, moving silent as they walked. The walls whispered. First it was just a breeze. Then it became clearer. James, James, you left me. He froze. That voice, it was his brother's voice, the one who had died years ago, in a failed rescue mission. Elia grabbed his arm. Don't listen, she said. It's not real, but it sounded real. He saw a shadow ahead, a figure, a man. In a burned uniform, just like the day his brother had died. You could have saved me, the voice said, but you ran. James stepped back. His hand trembled. His blaster almost slipped. He wasn't ready for this. Not again. He looked at Elia. Her face was filled with concern, but not fear. It shows your worst memory, she whispered. Mine too. It's how it hunts. What? James forced his eyes shut. He fired a shot into the ground to break the moment. The voice disappeared. The shadow vanished. Only silence remained. Elia touched the wall gently. Her fingers glowed for a second. The path opened again. James stared at her. What are you? He asked. She smiled sadly. The last of my crew, the only one who didn't break. They walked forward. Behind them, the tunnel closed like it was never there. Ahead, something was waiting. Something that whispered to the cave. Something deeper. The cave was alive, and now it was listening. The air was too still. James noticed it first. Not the walls, not the silence, but the way the air no longer moved.
Aye!
Like the cave had stopped breathing, like it was holding its breath. Elia stopped walking.
Oh.
She didn't say anything. She placed one hand against the wall, soft glowing veins under her palm. Her eyes widened. It's awake, she said. But it's not just watching now, it's listening. James frowned. Listening to what? She turned to him slowly. To you. Suddenly the lights in the tunnel changed. No longer blue, they turned orange, then red, like a pulse. James felt it, a presence. Not physical, but real. Deep in the stone, in the air. in the bones of the cave. The cave was thinking. He didn't understand how. He didn't want to. But every time he breathed, he felt like someone else was breathing with him. Elia whispered, almost too soft to hear, "Don't think about fear. Don't think about pain." James tried, but it was too late. The cave had already heard. What was inside him? A sound echoed down the tunnel, but it was not sound. It was laughter, twisted, broken laughter that sounded like his voice but wasn't him. James raised his blaster. Turning in circles, nothing was there. The tunnel behind them was gone again, melted shut. Ahead, the path split in two. Right or left? Elia pointed left. James hesitated. The cave spoke again, not with a voice, but with a memory. His memory. Suddenly, James was not in the cave anymore. He was back inside his old ship. Earth's orbit, fire everywhere, alarms screaming. He was holding someone's hand. It was his brother again. Burning, begging James. Had to let go or die too. He had let go. Now, the memory twisted. This time, his brother didn't scream. This time, he laughed. "You chose yourself, James," the voice said, deep and smooth. "Will you do it again?" James fell to his knees. It felt real, smelled real. Even the pain in his hands, burned and bloody, felt real. Then he felt a hand on his shoulder. Ilya, she pulled him back. Her touch snapped the illusion. They were back in the tunnel. James was gasping for air. "This cave doesn't kill with claws," Ilya said. "It kills with guilt." She looked at him seriously. "Whatever you're hiding, it will find it." He nodded slowly, sweat dripping from his brow. They moved forward again, this time more slowly. The tunnel ahead opened into a large chamber. James froze. There were bones everywhere, human bones, alien bones, dozens, maybe hundreds, all arranged. In a perfect circle, in the center, a small black cube floated in the air. It hummed softly. "What is that?" James asked. Ilya stepped forward, eyes wide. "It's a memory stone," she said. "My people used them to store thoughts. This one is full of screams." She touched it and screamed. James rushed to her side, pulling her hand back. She collapsed, eyes wide open, frozen. James looked at the stone. It was glowing now, red and hot. He aimed his blaster at it, but something inside the cave listened again and laughed. Asterisk. It didn't crawl. It slid, like oil across glass. James couldn't move. He stood in the center of the cave chamber, frozen, heart pounding, blaster in hand, but something about that shape shut down every part of him that understood what alive was supposed to look like. It had no feet, no hands, no face, just eyes. So many eyes. They blinked one by one, and all at once. Some were blue, others green. Some looked human. Some looked like Elia's. The thing made no sound. But when it stopped, the air around it changed, warped. James heard voices not from its mouth, but from inside his own mind. Familiar voices. "Come closer. You know us. You let us die." Was still on the ground behind him, breathing hard. Her body shook like the stone had shocked her. Her leg was almost fully grown now, but her mind was still weak. James took one step forward. Pulling her behind a rock, the creature turned toward the movement. It didn't walk. It bent the space between them in one blink. It was closer in two. It was almost touching them. James fired. The shot hit the center of the thing, passed through. No damage, no scream, just a ripple. And then, new eyes opened, from inside the wall, from the floor, from Elia's shadow. They were surrounded. James gritted his teeth. "Elia, get up," he said. "Now would be a great time to grow faster." She opened her eyes and whispered, "It's not real." James looked around. "It looks real enough to kill me." "No," she said. "The cave's making it real." "But it came from your mind." James stared at her. "That's mine." She nodded slowly. "Your fear, your guilt, the cave gave it shape." The creature raised a limb, not a hand, but a tendril of bone and blood. Forming a sharp edge, James raised his blaster again. He didn't aim at the creature. He aimed at the memory stone. "If this thing came from me," he said, "then maybe it ends with me." He pulled the trigger. The stone shattered with a loud crack like lightning inside. Scold, everything froze. The creature stopped. The cave shook. A pulse of blue light exploded outward, throwing James and Elia against the wall. Silence. Then, slowly, the creature began to break apart. One eye blinked, then melted. Another screamed, a high-pitched mental scream, and turned to dust. Piece by piece, it got gone. The cave went dark again, just for a second. Then a soft hum returned. A different one. Not angry, almost. Impressed, James groaned, trying to sit up. Elia stood now, fully healed. She offered her hand. He took it. "That thing," he said. "I saw it once. During the war, we found a lab. They were experimenting on prisoners, cutting out their eyes." Didn't ask more? She just said, "The cave listens. The cave builds. But now it fears you." James raised an eyebrow. "That thing feared me?" "No," Elia said. "The cave does. Because you broke its rule." "What rule?" He looked. "At the broken memory stone, you remembered, and fought back." The tunnel was silent again, but not dead. It breathed softly, slowly, like something ancient was asleep. Just beneath the stone, James and Elia moved forward. Every step felt heavier, not because of gravity, but because the cave was no longer trying to scare them. Now it wanted something else. It wanted them to choose. They entered a new chamber, larger than any before. No bones, no illusions. Only one thing stood there. A door not made of metal, not stone. It was made of living flesh, pale. Skin stretched across a round frame, like a muscle waiting to tear open. Veins ran across its surface. Glowing with orange fire, it beat like a heart, slow and deep. Thump, 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 thump. James stopped. He whispered, "That's not a door. That's alive." Elia stepped forward. "It's called a choice gate," she said. "My people found one. Only once. Most never came back." James looked at her. "How does it open?" She didn't answer with words. She raised her hand and touched the center of the door. It reacted instantly, glowing brighter, and then spoke. Not out loud, inside their heads. A voice like fire through silk. "To pass offer the moment you most regret. Let it burn. Let it feed us. Only truth may walk through fire." James pulled his hand away from his blaster. "This thing wants... a memory." Leah nodded. "Not just any memory, your worst one. The one you've tried to forget." James stared at the door. The fire inside it moved like liquid light. He didn't want to do it, but he stepped forward. He placed his hand on the door. It pulled him, and not physically but mentally, and suddenly, he was back. The smoke. The screams. The fire in the corridors, his brother, trapped under steel beams, begging. James had the choice. Stay and die, or run and live. He had run. He had never forgiven himself. And now, ow, the memory was burning again, brighter than ever. The cave pushed it deeper, twisted. It made him feel every second like it was happening now. He screamed. Elia caught him as he fell back, his eyes full of tears. "It's done," she said. "You gave it what it wanted." The door pulsed once, then tore itself open down the middle, flesh ripping with a sound like tearing paper and thunder at once. On the other side, a shipwreck, old, damaged, clearly alien, black and silver metal, cracked and covered in roots. Elia gasped. "That's my ship." They stepped through the door. The moment they crossed, the temperature dropped, not cold, but hollow, like entering a place where hope had already died. Inside the wreck, light still, flickered, and someone stood in the shadows, half buried in wires and tubes, eyes glowing white, smiling. "Welcome back, Elia," the man said. "I never thought you'd bring a human." James raised his weapon. The man didn't move, but the walls did. They rippled, just like the cave, because the ship wasn't separate anymore. It had become part of the cave. Or the cave had become part of it. The man spoke. "Again, you think you passed its test?" he said, smiling wider. "You've only walked into the final one." His voice shouldn't have been so familiar, but it was. The man standing half-fused into the wrecked alien ship spoke like someone who belonged there, calm, cold, like this place was his home. And everyone else was just passing through. Elia froze. Her glowing eyes narrowed. James noticed it, the tension, the silence between them. Then she spoke his name, not with fear, with something heavier. "Commander Solon." The figure smiled wider. "You still remember?" James raised his blaster, but Elia didn't move. Not forward, not back, just still. Something was wrong. Solon stepped into the dim light, and James could see it clearly now. This was no longer a normal man. Half his body was metal, but not built, grown. Cables moved like veins. His arm was a blackened branch of living tech. His skin was fused with ship armor, glowing softly. Spine was part of the wall. And the ship, or was it the cave? Pulsed in rhythm with his breath. He wasn't inside the cave. He was part of it. "What happened to you?" Elia asked, her voice cracking slightly. Solon's smile faded. "Survival," he said. "When our mission failed, the cave offered me a choice. Break like the others, ... or evolve." He gestured around him. "I chose to become something more." James stepped in front of Elia. "What do you want from us?" Solon looked at James, amused. "The cave doesn't want to kill you. It wants to use you, learn from you, like it learned from me." "We're not interested," James replied coldly. Solon tilted his head. "But Elia might be." That one sentence cut deeper than any weapon. James turned slowly. Elia didn't look away, didn't deny it, just whispered, "He's not lying." James stepped back. "You knew?" She nodded. "I knew he was alive. I just didn't know if he was still himself." Solon chuckled. "I'm better, stronger, and so can she be. The cave likes her, remembers her." Then he looked at James. "But you, it doesn't trust you, because you still fight it." Suddenly, the walls around them shimmered. Dozens of thin tendrils began sliding from the ceiling. Silent, sharp, waiting. James aimed, but Elia stepped in front of him. "Wait," she said. "If I talk to it, maybe we don't have to fight." Looked into her eyes. Something had changed. Or maybe it had always been there. The possibility that she could turn, not because she hated him, but because the cave promised what she lost. "Belonging. You have 10 seconds, he said, voice low. "Then I shoot him. Cave or no cave." Elia stepped forward toward Solon. They spoke in a language James didn't understand, glowing symbols forming midair between them. A strange energy filled the air. Then she stopped, turned around, and whispered, "We can't run anymore." James raised his weapon. "So you're choosing him?" Elia shook her head. "No, I'm choosing us." And then she did something James didn't expect. She fired at us, right in the chest. The walls screamed. Solon roared, not in pain but rage. The cables inside him lashed out. The cave around them began to shake. Sparks flew from the shipwreck. James grabbed Elia's hand. "We started this," he said. "Let's finish it." They ran as the chamber collapsed behind them. The path ahead opened. Spiral tunnel glowing red. The cave wasn't listening anymore. It was bleeding, and behind them, Solon's voice echoed, "You'll never escape. I am the cave now." James couldn't feel his legs. There was too much smoke, too much noise, and everything smelled like burnt metal and blood. He opened his eyes slowly. The cave was collapsing, not like a building, not like a creature dying. Its skin was peeling from the walls. The veins that once glowed were turning black. Fires burned from the wrecked ship's core. Sparks danced in the air like angry insects. James tried to move. COULD in single quotes. He looked down. His leg was crushed under a fallen beam. Blood, smoke, pain, and then shadow above him. Not Sao. In. Her eyes were wild, glowing again, brighter than ever. She reached for him. James, stay awake. He tried to speak, but only coughed. You came back, he whispered. She nodded, hands already glowing as she pulled the beam with alien strength. I said I'd choose us. I meant it. Behind them, deep in the cave's chest, something began to move. Heavy, loud, angry. A new shape formed from the burning wreck. Not Solon exactly, but something bigger. Fused with metal, flesh, and the cave's dying nerves. It didn't have a face. It had 100 mouths. And they all screamed. James didn't ask what it was. He just grabbed Elia's hand. We need to end this. He said. They ran. The tunnel was falling apart behind them. Walls collapsing, tendrils flailing. Fire chasing them like a living storm. Elia stopped only once to plant something small in the ground. A tiny black cube. Humming with power, James looked at her. What's that? She answered without turning. A pulse charge. Enough to burn the cave's brain. But we only get one shot. James checked his blaster empty. Then we don't miss. They reached the final chamber. The first cave. The mouth that had closed behind them. Now it was open again, but pulsing, alive, breathing in reverse. It was about to scream. Them into dust. From behind. The creature that was once Solon crawled through the flame, melting, growing, changing shape. Elia stood firm. James fell to one knee, leg failing. Get out. Blow it! I'll cover you! She didn't move. Instead, she knelt beside him and put his hand on the trigger of the pulse charge together. The creature lunged. They pressed the trigger. Silence then. Light, pure, white-blue energy burst from the cave's heart, not like fire, but like memory being erased. Every wall cracked. Every scream died. And in the center of it all, Elia's voice echoed in James's mind. You gave the cave your guilt. I gave it my hope. Now let's take both back. When James opened his eyes again, he was lying in grass. Real grass. Under a purple sky. A ship hovered above rescue. Its lights cut through the fading smoke. Beside him, Elia stood whole, alive. Her eyes calm now. You did it, he said, half smiling. She looked up at the ship, then back down at him. No, she replied. We did. As the ship rose into the sky, carrying them off the dead world. Neither of them looked back, but deep in the black stone below, far beneath the ashes, one eye still blinked, just once, then closed.